studying your last two. I swim with tea when they turned in. The staring out to mute and can lend a pole that some kid died.
Every corporation that files a T2 corporate tax return must report its primary business activity using a North American Industry Classification System, or NAICS, code. The NAICS is a standardized industry classification system used by Canada, the United States, and Mexico to categorize businesses based on the type of economic activity they perform, instead of describing how large a company is or how much money it earns. The NAICS code simply identifies what the corporation primarily does. Think of the NAICS code as a business identification label. Whether a corporation is involved in manufacturing, retail trade, information technology, transportation, construction, healthcare, restaurants, or wholesale trade, each type of business is assigned a specific industry code. This allows governments, researchers, and businesses to classify similar organizations consistently across North America. The NAICS system follows a hierarchical structure. It begins with a broad business sector, then becomes progressively more specific through subsectors, industry groups, and industries, eventually leading to a 6-digit NAICS code. For example, a business may first be classified under retail trade, then food stores, followed by supermarkets, ultimately resulting in a unique 6-digit code that accurately represents its primary business activity. One important concept to remember is that the NAICS code is based on what the corporation primarily does, not on its revenue, profit, or size. Two companies may earn the same amount of revenue, but have completely different NAICS codes if they operate in different industries. Likewise, a small local business and a large national corporation may share the same NAICS code if they perform the same type of business activity. The standardized nature of the NAICS system provides significant benefits. It enables governments and organizations to collect reliable economic data, compare businesses within the same industry, develop public policies, conduct industry analysis, and administer tax programs more effectively. For the Canada Revenue Agency, the NAICS code helps place each corporation within the appropriate industry category for statistical reporting and tax administration. The key takeaway is that the NAICS code is much more than a number entered on a tax return. It accurately describes a corporation's primary business activity, creating a common language for business classification across North America and supporting consistent reporting, analysis, and tax administration. Selecting the correct NAICS code begins with understanding the corporation's actual business operations. Before choosing any code, the tax preparer should discuss the business with the client to understand what products it sells, what services it provides, who its customers are, and which activities generate most of its revenue. The objective is to identify the corporation's primary business activity, because that is what the NAICS code is meant to represent. Once the primary business activity has been identified, the next step is to search for the appropriate NAICS code. The official NAICS classification system, maintained by Statistics Canada, organizes industries in a logical hierarchy. Tax preparers typically begin with a broad industry category and gradually narrow the search to more specific sectors until they reach the 6-digit code that most accurately describes the corporation's main activity. For example, a business may first fall under manufacturing, then food manufacturing, then bakeries, ultimately arriving at the most specific 6-digit NAICS code. After selecting the correct code, it is entered into the T2 corporate tax return using CRA-certified tax software. The software validates the information as part of the return preparation process. ensuring that the industry code is included correctly before the return is electronically filed with the Canada Revenue Agency. There are several best practices to follow when choosing a NAICS code. Always select the code that represents the corporation's primary business activity rather than temporary or occasional activities. The choice should never be based solely on the company's name, since a business name may not accurately reflect what the corporation actually does. If the nature of the business changes over time, the NAICS code should also be reviewed and updated to reflect the corporation's current operations. Whenever there is uncertainty, the official Statistics Canada NAICS search tools and explanatory notes should be used to ensure the most accurate classification. Choosing the correct NAICS code may seem like a small part of the T2 return, but it plays an important role in accurate tax reporting. A properly selected code helps the CRA correctly classify the corporation within its industry, improves the quality of industry statistics, supports meaningful business comparisons, and reduces the likelihood of reporting errors. By taking the time to understand the client's business and selecting the most appropriate NAICS code, tax preparers contribute to more accurate and compliant corporate tax reporting. Every T2 corporate tax return includes a NAICS code that identifies the corporation's primary business activity. Although it may seem like a simple classification number, the NAICS code plays an important role in helping the Canada Revenue Agency understand what the corporation actually does and how it compares with other businesses in the same industry. When a corporation files its T2 return, the selected NAICS code becomes part of the information submitted to the CRA. This allows the CRA to group businesses that perform similar activities, regardless of their size or location. By classifying corporations consistently, the CRA can better organize tax data and improve the overall administration of Canada's corporate tax system. The CRA uses NAICS codes for several important purposes. One of the primary uses is industry benchmarking, where a corporation's financial information can be compared with similar businesses in the same industry. The NAICS code also supports the creation of industry statistics that help governments analyze economic trends and business performance across different sectors. In addition, the CRA uses this information for risk assessment by identifying unusual reporting patterns that may require further review. The code also assists in selecting returns for audit when certain industry-specific risks or anomalies are detected. For tax preparers, choosing the correct NAICS code is equally important. An accurate industry classification improves the quality of CRA data, reduces filing errors, supports proper tax compliance, and ensures that businesses are compared against the correct industry benchmarks. While the NAICS code does not directly affect the amount of tax a corporation pays, it contributes to accurate reporting and helps prevent unnecessary questions or reviews arising from an incorrect business classification. There are also several common mistakes that tax preparers should avoid. Selecting the wrong industry simply because it seems similar, continuing to use an outdated code after the business has changed, choosing a code based on the company's name instead of its actual activities, ignoring significant changes in business operations, or copying the previous year's NAICS code without reviewing it can all lead to inaccurate classification. Each year, the corporation's primary business activity should be reviewed to ensure that the selected code still reflects what the business actually does. The key takeaway is that the NAICS code is far more than a number entered into a tax return. It provides the CRA with a standardized way to understand, analyze, and compare businesses across industries. By selecting the correct NAICS code and reviewing it regularly, tax preparers help ensure accurate reporting, better regulatory compliance, and a more reliable corporate tax system.